Greetings to my fellow DHGs. Shout out to you guys. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So, yes, as soon as I start recording, now it wants to, the air wants to come on. But no, greetings, you guys. So, I was supposed to do this, um, not do this, I was supposed to upload um, the video for this message, but I felt like it was just too long, and sometimes I feel like I talk too much, and I want to make sure that I'm staying in the guidelines of what God is telling me to say, rather than just speaking just too loosely. Because sometimes I can go on rant sometimes, and trying to explain things to the point where I over explain them. So I have to be very careful of that. But anywho, Um, so yeah, I wanted to share this message that came to me that was inspired by this movie, Disney movie Encanto. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but it's a really cute movie. My little sister, she has been trying to get me to watch that movie for like weeks, and um, I watched like the first half of it, but I never can like make it through the rest of the movie. It's just like something I just don't feel engaged to finish the watch. Like, it takes me a lot to sit and watch a movie or watch TV. Like, it has to be something that's capturing my attention, because I'm just like, I'll lose interest really quick. That's why I'm just like, I'll come back to this at a later time. But even at that time, I knew that that movie was gonna have something in it where God was gonna use me to deliver a message. So basically, if you guys have never seen this movie, I would highly suggest it. It's a good movie. It has a message, a divine message, I feel. So I'm just gonna give you like a quick synopsis. I'm saying that right, of the movie. So the main character is Mary Bell, and she has a family full of gifted people. They all have these spiritual gifts and these abilities that they have. Hey sis, Rich Rising. They all have these, and I might sound funny because I'm like, I've been up since like 2 a.m. this morning. And on top of that, I'm laying in bed, like literally laying in the bed. So hopefully you guys can hear me clear. Like, my vocals are not being smashed by the way I'm laying. Anyway, so Maribel's family, I think where are they from? Oh my God, it escapes me. It's not Guatemala. Where are they from? It's not, I can't remember. Somebody probably knows. I can't remember where they're from, what country they're from. Um, But anywho, her family, they all live in this one house, right? And the grandmother is like the head of the family. She's the matriarch, right? There's no grandfather. They'll explain later in the movie what happened to the grandfather, but the grandmother, her three children, her triplets, her two daughters and son, her triplets, um, they have their own separate giftings and things like that. The two girls have their own separate family and their kids. Everyone has a gift, except seemingly except for Maribel. So how it works is, um, they have like a ceremony at a certain timeline in the grandchildren's life or whatever, where it's a tradition, a family tradition. So each person has to walk up to their door, like, it's like a whole little ceremony thing. And if their door illuminates, like it lights up, then that means that they have a gift. And once they open their room door, their bedroom door turns into this big scene that um, matches what their gift is. So, for example, um, one of the grandchildren, he has the ability to shapeshift. Rich Rising, he says. One of the other grandchildren, she has the ability to like pick heavy things up. Like, she could pick up pianos, she could pick up houses, like she could pick up anything basically. One of the other grandchildren, her gifting is, she has the ability to manifest like bouquets of flowers. She's really good with like aesthetics and stuff like that in that sense. One of the family members has the gift to predict the weather, so on and so forth. They all have a gift, right? So Maribel is the only one that doesn't have a gift. So when she had her ceremony as a little girl, she walked up to her door and it didn't illuminate. So you can imagine that was devastating to her. So, long story short, the message that came to me through this whole thing was watch it till the end, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't watched it. So if you don't want to or you don't care, whatever, at the end, after this long journey of trying to prove herself to her family, because her grandmother was very like hard on her, and essentially she was hard on everyone in the family. She was, they had a name to live up to because that house was like this mystical house. Like people would in the community would come to this house and like go to their ceremonies and things like that when they would have a family member um, do that ceremony where they would figure out whether they had the gift or not. So they were like a big attraction. The family pretty much was like really popular in the community. So she was very hard on them and pushing this perfectionism and everything like that. And she was so mean to Maribel. She would make her feel like an outcast, like she really didn't have much of a purpose, like kind of get out of the way type of thing. And Maribel, all she wanted to do was to please her grandmother essentially and to keep the family together. And one of the things that she was really curious about is what happened to her uncle Bruno. So Bruno is one of the triplets that the grandmother gave birth to. So Maribel's mother is one of them, the aunts, and then Uncle Bruno, which has no children. And he basically was an outcast because he had the ability to predict the future, but some of the things that he was predicting was warnings. And as a prophet or a divine messenger, you don't always get light and fluffy messages. Like anybody that knows, you're not always going to get these light and fluffy, oh, this and that's going to happen. You're going to win $1 million and love is coming. Like it's not always about those things. Sometimes you'll get those heavy messages that you have to warn people. If you don't give them the warning, I mean, it's like you're helping people at the end of the day by giving them the heads up. So yeah, it may not be the best of message. So he was running from from that, and people had a lot to say about him. So he hid away, and Maribel was on this search to find him, and his family would not talk about him. And that was one of the points that I wish I would have made in the video, because I originally recorded this as a video because I was going to premiere it, but I chose not to because I feel like I was just going in a little bit too much. But um even now, because it's like 8 minutes almost in, but they, in some families, like people don't want to touch those tough um people don't want to touch those soft spots, you know what I mean? Like they rather sweep everything under the rug, like, oh, why did this happen, or what happened to this family member. And some people will, oh, we don't talk about that, oh, just leave it alone, forget about it. And that's how they were with this Uncle Bruno. Like they did not want to talk about him. Like they had a whole song. And my sister gets on my nerves with that because she plays the song a lot, and I guess it's like popular on YouTube, like people singing it and covering it. It's really annoying, but it basically they have a whole song dedicated to not talking about this family member Bruno, right? So, long story short, Maribel finds her uncle Bruno, and he's in the house, hiding in the house. And I felt so bad for him because he was basically living like he didn't have anything. He was living like this little hideout attic space or whatever, and he was running from his gift as well. Like he did not want to deal with it. He befriended some mice and stuff like that. And there was a part where she pulled back something, and I guess it shows that he created a hole in the wall so he can watch his family at the table. So it's kind of like he set a table to where his chair was there, so it was like a visual of him, still being a part of the family, which really was sad. So um he gives Maribel this prophecy. He tells her that this and this has to happen in order to restore the family and for the house not to tear down, because the house holds like this energy. It's kind of like I want to say like the house, it has this energy almost like a vortex. Like it's weird. Like the house responds to each and every person in the house. It's weird. You have to watch the movie. Anyway, and that in itself is also metaphoric because our household, our home, it holds a lot of energy and vibration within those walls. So that's why it's very important that you make sure you cleanse your space, you clear your home, your energy. And when people have arguments or when people are depressed or there's a lot going on within a home, that energy can stick. Like when people move into houses that maybe they call it paranormal activity or whatever, a house that's haunted where someone may have been murdered or something like that happened, the energy might still be in the house, right? So that, I guess you could say, that's kind of another thing too. Like the house was spiritually active, but it was losing its momentum, it was losing its energy, and it was because of the grandmother. The grandmother and Maribel said that she went off on her grandma. She's like, you're tearing the family down, you're tearing the family apart, you want everyone to be perfect. So when Bruno gave Maribel this prophecy, he was telling everything that he saw happening in his family, and he ran away from it because he didn't want it to come to pass. And he said, in order for this family to come together, this and that has to happen. So it did happen in a sense, but when you tell like prophecy, it's only told in a part. Like it doesn't fully, like, we'll get visions and pictures of things and we'll explain it the best to our ability, but there are some things that still have to, connect and intertwine with that vision. So she has a moment with her sister because he told her that he saw her hugging someone. He showed her the vision, and it was her hugging her sister. So she thought, okay, this is the part where me and my sister, we make up, and then this is gonna restore the family or whatever, right? Um, so they actually like hash it out because her sister is like the pretty one. She's real, chicken little. Um, her sister's the real pretty one and the one that knows how to like manifest flowers and stuff like that. And they didn't really have a good relationship throughout the movie. It was like a weird dynamic they had, but they hashed it out. And the sister, messed up her dress to where it was dope. Her dress came out like this graffiti type dress, whatever. So the grandma sees it and goes ballistic, and she's like, "What did you do?" And she blames everything on Maribel, like everything that goes wrong in the household or the family. She blames everything on her. So she looked at the sister with the dress. Her dress was all dirty, but the dress kind of looked like graffiti. It looked like art. And the sister's like, "I'm tired of being perfect," basically. And the grandma's looking at her like, "What did you do? Look at her dress. What are you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah." And the other cousin that had the ability to lift up heavy items and heavy things and stuff like that, she started to lose her strength. And she said, she was telling the grandma, "Me and Maribel, we were talking, and I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, like my gift is gone, or it's leaving me, or something like that." So then the grandma automatically again blames Maribel. So Maribel, like I said, she pops off of the grandma and said, "You're the cause of separating the family." So for some of you, I know this resonates with me, that some of you guys may have dealt with like a family member like that, especially like a grandmother. Hey, Lonnie. Yes, I've been up since 2 a.m. this morning. I've been up, but yeah. So that like some of you guys may resonate where you guys might have had like a grandmother, or maybe you still do. That's very, very like hard on the family, very toxic, and some family members that have those favorites, they choose to like pick and choose who, they favor or whatever, and then they ostracize the other family members. So Maribel basically, she runs away because the house gets torn into, like the house tears down, like it just shatters, right? So she's devastated because she thought that she was doing everything she was supposed to do. So she ends up running somewhere out in the woods or whatever, and her grandmother finds her, and her grandma share this moment. Her grandma takes her. Maribel actually sees the vision of what happened to her grandmother. So I feel like that was the part where her gift activated. Um, Her gift was activated at that moment because she was able to see the vision of her grandmother's story, how she met the grandfather, and how they had to leave their home because it was being invaded. And the grandfather, this was a sad part, but the grandfather tried to shield and protect the rest of the family of the community that was trying to flee, and they killed him. And the mother, the grandmother, she's left with her three triplets, her babies, to start this life. So she's given this gift and she creates this home for her lineage, her family, and it goes into that. So her and Maribel, the grandmother, they make up, they hug, whatever. So they go back to the house, and the house, of course, is tore up. But the community and the family, they come together. And like I said, the community really, the family is this popular family. So everyone is like, in need, wanting to help and rebuild the house that they had. So towards the end of the movie, the house is completed. Everybody helps and fixes and bring it together. And Maribel walks up to the door, the house door, and the door lights and illuminates itself, just like how, if anyone, like the rituals that they do where they walk up to their bedroom door and the door would illuminate, the front door, the house door illuminates. And at that moment, it's like that was her gift. Her gift was to bring restoration to her family and to bring her family together. And one of her message was too, she said that our gifts, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically our gifts are not tied to, or our worth and our value is not tied to our gifts. It's not tied to what we can do and what we can't do. Our gift is an extension of us, but it's not who we are. You know, it's like, let's say for instance, someone gifts you a tennis bracelet, a diamond tennis bracelet, this expensive bracelet, right? And every time you wear it, you feel like you're something, right? When you take it off, you feel empty without it. You don't feel like you're, rich, or you don't feel like you're of value, right? That's backwards. So it's kind of the same thing where we might put a lot of emphasis on titles and labels and what we have or what we don't have, or our gifts or our talents. We make it our whole makeup, and without it, we feel empty. That's why, like, some people lose their jobs or they lose their marriage or something, and they're like, they feel this emptiness because they've placed their value and worth on this thing, right? This external thing. So that was her message, that her grandmother was um, pretty much creating this tension in her family, this trauma and this discord in her family of this perfectionism, and if you don't have a gift, then you need to just get out the way, right? And that's a toxic thing, and that happens in families too, not just with giftings, but like, okay, if you didn't graduate college or you didn't get married at such and such time, or you don't have kids, it's kind of like they'll ostracize certain people because of that in the family, and that happens a lot. So that was the message in that. And I feel like, pretty much just paraphrasing and summing this whole thing up, because I suck at like explaining stuff, because I feel like I go all over the place. But the whole thing, the message is that your gifting, yep, that's true. They only want to rock with you when you're winning or when you got something, and that's really toxic. Like, but she proved that it's not about your gifts, because everybody, I forgot to say this part too, everybody in the house, their gifts started to get a little wacky, like it started to glitch out, because that house symbolizes the foundation, the home, right? When you think about, and this is just me getting into like the little astrology tip real quick, but when you think about the home, we think of the fourth house. The fourth house is the sign of Cancer. Cancer is considered the mother sign, which represents home, family, love, loved ones, things like that. So the matriarch, the mother of the family, the grandmother, she was tearing the foundation, the home down. The house symbolized their foundation. So as the house tore down, everyone's like gifts started to glitch out and just like go haywire. So that was to prove that you don't, your value and your worth and you being loved is not based off of that. And just when people think that the least likely one, the one that doesn't have it all, the one that may be behind, or maybe, doesn't really fit into the whole family ideal, is the one that the divine will use to actually bring things together, will actually help to reestablish and rebuild a healthier foundation. The grandmother's words. Yeah, it could have very well have been that as well. She was, it's just like in the movie, and I try not to be mad at the grandma because it does show why the grandma was such an a-hole, like at the end, like what she went through. That's heavy, you know, like to lose her husband like that, and then like to have three babies that she has to raise on her own, three triplets. That's like traumatic, but you get to see why she is the way that she is. But the way she was like treating Maribel is like on a whole nother level, and I've seen some grandchildren get treated like that, and it's really sad. Um, but I feel like that was a beautiful way to kind of help shed light on that type of dynamic, that type of, you know, to the extent of generational healing. For a Disney movie to do that is like, that's pretty dope. I know that people demonize Disney for agendas and stuff like that, but you can find divinity in some things. They might try to slip some agendas here and there in some movies, but I feel like that was really dope. Whoever created that movie, that needed to be explained. Because that's a thing that I feel like culturally, not just Latino culture, because it's based off of that, but any culture really can resonate with that. Yeah. So you're gifting, whatever you're called to do, it's not going to make sense to you in the beginning. And a lot of times, like, you have to go through that process of where you do feel like you're ostracized and you're not accepted into the family, because when you get separated from fitting in and all of that, it actually pulls you closer to the divine so that you can find yourself outside of man. And when I say man, I mean human, like outside of what people dictated tell you to be. At this time, I feel like a lot of people are starting to come into their, you know, their own purpose and their own callings, and not based off of, you know, society standards. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with going to college. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being married or having kids or at a certain age, but it doesn't have to always be the standard for everyone's life. You know what I mean? You know, not everybody's called to, you know, be a lawyer or this or that, you know what I mean, or a doctor. Everyone has a different calling, a different purpose. And again, our purpose is not what makes us worthy or valuable, because we're already worthy and valuable, period. You know, and love is unconditional. It's not something that has to be earned. So that was another thing. I don't know why, but this scripture came to me. I felt led to share this scripture. It's Galatians 1 and 10. And it says, "For do I now persuade men or God? Do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be a servant of God." So you have to question yourself of whether you're living your life to please others. There's a difference between serving others in love, and because if you call yourself a light worker, this is another thing, because I went on a whole rant with that other video that I was going to originally post, but I didn't post it. But because I was just doing too much, like it just went way too deep into it. But as a light worker, I feel like people kind of get that misconstrued. Like light work is only focusing on the fairy pixie dust, the rainbows, and the unicorns, when that's not really the case. Because as a light worker, you have to be the light and shed light where there's darkness. You have to be the example. So if you, let's say for instance, you're at a party, and this party, you're expected to have a good time, you're expecting to, you know, meet some people, have fun, whatever. But you go there and it's nothing but like bad vibes, people like acting a fool, you got people in the corner hating, you got people fighting somewhere, and you're just like, this is not what I came here for. But who's to say that you weren't planted there to be the shift of the energy and the vibration? So if you're only focused on being in a room with people that's all happy and bubbly, and that's beautiful, that's a good thing, but it's not all, like, where's the work? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the work? You're supposed to be a light worker. So it would only make sense that there's going to be moments where you're in shadow energy, even within yourself, that you're dealing with your own shadows, to where that's where you find your divinity and your light, when you're facing and confronting your shadows and you're transmuting the energy. So I don't understand what like this whole target version of spirituality is like coming from. I blame like 10 years, 12 years ago, like when the whole chakra, like people just started to learn about certain things, and it initiated this whole light and fluffy spirituality and these sugar coated messages and readings and videos of like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's misleading. Like, it's not Tarjay, okay? This is not Tarjay spirituality. Like, this is not something you just put on and you take off. You know what I mean? It's your life, it's your path. And that's what separates light workers. Like, if you're truly a light worker, you're being called to be the light in any instance, in any circumstance. So to shy away from spiritual warfare does not make sense to me. And if you call yourself a light worker, if you are of the light, it is only by nature that you're going to experience being attacked by dark forces. It's because it's a spiritual battle. Like that, like you can't separate that. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't understand the confusion with that, and this whole entitlement, this whole like spoiled brat version of spirituality where you get to pick and choose, like, oh my god, that's so negative, I didn't want to listen to this, oh my god, like stay in oblivion. You're not gonna get anywhere with that, you know. People don't want to take accountability, people don't want to do the work. Like it's not, easy, but at the same time, being of love and light is so much more easier than dwelling in darkness. So why not want to be the light to those that are dealing with darkness? You know what I mean? Like, you're called to it, at least. Not everybody's going to want to shift and change or to level up or to operate in light. You can only help who you're supposed to help, and who gets it, they get it, and who those that don't, they don't. That's cool, whatever. But to only say, be discriminative of energy and be like, oh, I'm only going to focus on this energy. I'm not going to worry about helping anybody else. Like, oh, I can't do that. That's negative. Oh, I can't talk about that. That's negative. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, but yes, long story short, because we just all over the place this morning. Um, yeah, the message really is to remind yourself of this when you deal with that feeling of being ostracized, or you feel like you deal with abandonment, or you deal with rejection. And it sometimes, not always, but the genesis of our wounding usually comes from our home, from our family. And I seen this video, I just want to share this real quick. I seen this video where this woman was breaking down how, genetically, when we're in our mother's womb, how those genes carry through the womb, through the bloodline. So when your grandmother, if your grandma was having traumatic experiences while carrying your mother or carrying your father, specifically she was saying mother and mother to mother. So your mother in the womb, she's carrying those cells, those traumatic experiences, and those thoughts, those emotions that are in that body, and it's carrying through the cellular functions, right? And then it trickles down to the next person in the womb, and so on and so forth. That's why this healing work starts within self first. It can only start within self first. It's not external and then inward. It's always internal work first and foremost. So the root most likely is always going to go back to the family. It's always going to go back to the home. But yeah, she made a good point about that. So I feel like, again, the generational thing, you'll experience those rejections and those outcasts, experiences usually from your own family, whether they realize they're perpetrating it or not. Your job is to figure out what your path, what your purpose is through just going through your journey. See, Maribel was looking to please her family. To um, she wanted so bad to be accepted by her family and by her grandmother, but she was also very loving, and she was also someone that she had a good vibe to her. She wasn't bitter. She wasn't jealous, She just felt like, okay, what about me? You know what I mean? She didn't know what her path was. And that's the funny thing about the divine. It's like we can go through life and feel like we're nothing, we don't have a purpose, but it's a whole plot twist. That's why you got to trust your journey, you got to trust your path. and trust where you're going and follow it, even if it doesn't make sense to you at the end of the day. But she did a great work because what she did was not only did she find who she was, but she was able to bring her family back, and that was her whole purpose at that point. At least that was her gift, was her ability to bring people together, to bring her family together, to bring restoration, to speak life into them. And that, you know how hard that is, like seeing people that have things and you don't have them but you still have the heart to give to people. That's a lot. That takes a lot of, that's a heart of gold right there. And it was a cute scene. Y'all just gotta watch the movie. Anyway, but there was a cute scene with her little cousin. He was like the youngest. He was the baby of the family. And he was telling her that he was nervous about his night, his big night, which would be the ceremony to figure out whether he had a gift or not. Aw, I don't, girl. I don't know why I'm making you cry. I don't even know why. I don't know how or why. I'm just talking. I'm just like all over the place. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus, Ilani. Watch it on Disney Plus. But there was a scene. Okay, so they're talking. He was like, "I'm scared. I'm nervous. What if I don't have a gift?" And she was speaking life to him, and she was like, "Even if you have a gift, you're still this. You know, she had a beautiful heart." Anyway, they she walks him up to his door, and the face, her grandma's face pissed me off because her grandma's face was like, "What the hell is she doing up here?" Like I was so mad. Like her grandma, she was something else. I'm telling you. Tell Princess I said what's up. Good morning. Yeah, but it's funny because she walks him up to his door and she's like rooting him on. She's being his support, and he opens the door. It illuminates, of course, and he has a gift, and he has a gift to talk to animals, which was beautiful. It was a cute scene, but it's just I felt so bad for her. I just felt so bad how her family treated her and like pushed her out. And I feel like if you resonate with this, that happens. Like this is what comes with when you're called or you're chosen, I should say. When you're chosen, you're not going to always fit in. That's the way it is. And the reason why that is again because it brings you closer to the divine. It pulls you to have to find yourself for yourself, not finding yourself in anything or anyone outside of you. You can't be used or you can't be of service or usage if you're worried about what people think about you. You're trying to live up to a standard. Like if your whole thing, again, I have to say this again, the scripture Galatians 1 and 10, if your purpose is to please man, aka human, rather than it is to be a divine servant of the creator, as a light worker, as y'all like to say, then you're not going to get anywhere because you're going to be just throw to and fro because man is never satisfied. Our emotions are up and down. One thing about the creator is God is not a man that he should lie. That's what they say, right? Meaning a man, human, that they should switch their mind up and be like, oh, I love you one day. The next day, oh, I don't love you. Or, oh, you should be a lawyer today. Oh, no, never mind. I changed my mind. You should be a singer today. You know what I mean? Like, God doesn't work like that. So if you're leaning upon people and what they think about you, you're not going to get too far in life. So it took Maribel setting out her journey to figure out, and she sought after her uncle. Like when everybody was like, oh, we don't talk about Uncle Bruno, we don't, brushing stuff under the rug, you know how family members can be. She went out to go find him and said, no, he's my family. I want to figure out why he's gone. I want to know what happened. And that led her to him showing the vision and the prophecy that led to one thing after another, which led to the ending of the movie and bringing the family together. That's the whole point of it, So I don't know who this is for, who this resonates with, but yeah, that movie, I knew it was something that I was supposed to get out of the movie, but like I said, I kept putting it off and not watching it completely through. But I felt like, okay, no, it's something in it. And then when I sat and watched it, okay, I got the message. I was like, cool. So I've been sitting on this for a minute. Yes, received. Yeah, it's a cute movie. Like it's one of those like Disney movies or just animations that have a really good message. Because I loved Encanto. I mean, Encanto. I loved Coco. That was my movie. I still love Coco, and Moana is one of my favorite movies too. Disney Pixar movies, but I got put on to Encanto by my little sister. She just kept telling me to watch it. So yeah, like I said, I think it's really dope that they incorporated like that generational, you know, those blockages, those ups and downs, and how to really counteract and heal those things, or at least initiate healing from those things. Like that was a really dope movie. So yes, if you have not seen Encanto, watch it for yourself. Yes, it's for kids, but if you really sit with it and really watch, and I feel like for kids, even if they don't fully understand, they might be able to find themselves in the movie and say, "Yeah, I feel like that." And just because in the beginning it seemed like she didn't have a purpose or she didn't have a gift like everyone else, that doesn't mean again that she wasn't, special or she wasn't of use. So when the end came together, it was like, yeah, she had a gift. And I feel like we all could have figured that out. Like I don't think they just gonna do her like that in the movie, just be grimy like that and not give her a gift. But it just came together beautifully. So I feel like it can work both ways for adults and children. But yeah, that was pretty much the message. I probably am all over the place, like, cause I'll have like notes or I'll have like a message in mind of how I'm gonna present it, and then more stuff just starts coming to me. So, but yeah, it's on Disney Plus. Encanto. I don't know. It might be even on DVD nowadays. They be pushing out DVDs and Blu-rays like within like a month. Back in the day, it used to take like almost a whole year for a DVD to come out or a VHS to come out. Now it'd be straight to V. So if you guys want to watch it, the only place that I know, like source of where it's at, is on Disney Plus. It's an app. You guys can, I think that you can get it on your TV because we have it on a TV. If you have like an app or a smart TV or whatever, a laptop, an iPad, whatever. But yeah, that was the message. So yeah, I'm up this morning, y'all. I don't know what y'all doing up, but where I'm at, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Peace. Yeah, and I don't know what happened to breakfast, Ilani. I don't know. I don't know where you went, but we supposed to do breakfast. I don't know what happened. Okay. Yeah, we supposed to be doing breakfast, but I'm gonna cleanse right now anyway. But yes, we have to get up soon. I've been up, like I said, for since like 2 a.m. this morning. Yes, we gotta go to that spot. I don't want to say it online, but we gotta go to that spot, the breakfast place. But yeah. Yeah, they don't know about the VHS. They don't know about when it gets caught in the when the film gets caught up in the VCR. They don't know about that, and you gotta unscrew that top. Like they don't like the stuff that we had to do to get stuff working and going. They don't know about that. Like the TVs, the big back TVs. I used to have to beat the TV to get like we had some ghetto shit. Like yeah, like my grandma. I don't think when did flat TVs even come out? I don't think I seen a flat TV until I was like in junior high going in high school. But them big back TVs, like they go a long way. Like they last like 20, 30 years. But yeah, they don't know about VHSs. They don't even know how long it like nowadays everything is like microwavable. Like everything is instantaneous. Like ordering food, like you don't gotta go drive nowhere. You just everything is like just handed to us now. We don't gotta go grocery shopping no more. We could just order it and just have it delivered, or we could just go pick it up. Like we don't gotta do the shopping. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, VHSs and stuff like that and DVD. It at least I would want to say like under a year for a DVD or movie to be released to video. Like nowadays, like the movie theaters, like the movie will be on streaming services. It might be on TV or it might be in the movie theaters, and the next thing you know, like a couple of weeks later, it's on Blu-rays. It's like, okay, like, oh, okay. I'm not 100% sure. You guys can probably look it up on your own, but I wouldn't be surprised if Encanto is like on DVD already or Blu-ray already. I would not be surprised. And yes, we had the best childhood. Like I grew up in the 90s. So my childhood's a little bit different. Oh yeah, another movie that's good that my little sister is obsessed with. It's called Turning Red. I think they're Korean. I might be wrong. I think it's about a Korean girl, but it had a similar theme where her mother was very controlling and wanted her to be a certain way. So you guys might like that too. That's on Disney Plus as well. It's called Turning Red. Yes, the Red Panda movie. Yep. My sister loves that movie. It's another like it's kind of yeah, I think it's Korean. I don't know. I might be wrong. It could be Japanese. I don't know what their nationality is. But it had like a similar type of theme to it where the mother was like really controlling and dictative of her daughter's life and stuff like that, and her daughter had to stand in her truth basically and be her authentic self. So um I mean, these movies can be helpful as long as you explain to your kids what they're watching, because it can easily be like, oh, I'm going to be rebellious and I'm going to, pop off of my mom. And, parents, especially, I won't say all, like, only black parents, but that does not fly. You can't do that. Um, the first Asian American head artist. Yeah. I feel like anime, and that, I guess, you can't really I wouldn't say that Turning Red is an anime, but like when it comes to like Asian um animation, yeah. Korean movies, I know that was your thing, Ilani. I haven't watched a Korean movie like an actual like cast of real people, but like animes be hitting, like they be having some deep messages in anime. Oh, I mean that could make sense. I could see that, dark. I can kind of see that because, like, when they turn into those red pandas, they spaz out. So I can see it being like on some, I'm on my PMS vibe. I can kind of see that. But yeah, I feel like Disney movies, they have deep messages. Like, it could be just like the new creators that they have, the producers and stuff that they have on there.